Well, welcome to another episode of Future Forward. I'm Teresa Spangler, founder of Plaza Bridge Group, an innovation consulting firm, as many of you may know, in product development. I have with me today, which I'm really excited about, Jaclynn. She'll go by Jax Brennan, who is the founder and CEO of Fyli, if I say that correctly. And she's going to talk a lot more about that. But I'm very excited to have her with us because she is someone that just has an incredible belief in networks and propelling. We have this in common, advancing women and really trying to help amplify strong and intelligent women into positions that they can make a difference in. And so, Jax, I'll call you Jax if that's okay. I'm going to let you kind of kick off and maybe you share a little bit about what you do today, and then I want to kind of dive into how you got here.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me, Teresa. I'm excited to be here chatting with you today about Future Forward. Fyli stands for tribe in Greek and family in Latin, and we are a female founders mastermind. So a lot of people say, what is that? What does that mean? The term mastermind was coined in 1925 by Napoleon Hill. And he said, I might not be the smartest man in the room, but if I surround myself with the best, together we move mountains. So it's this notion of bringing your expertise, your skill sets to the table around other like-minded women to help each other grow and elevate that peer-to-peer mentorship and accountability. So we're a private membership network as a service.
Awesome. Well, and you really thought through the name, which I think a lot of founders, when they're really starting, sometimes don't recognize how important that name is. Well, and you have a branding background. Maybe you could share a little bit of how you actually came up with the name. I think that would be helpful.
Absolutely. So I am a brand builder by nature, by trade. I was the creative director for the past 12 years, mostly in fashion, but now I work with individuals to do personal branding. So when I'm thinking about a brand, I'm thinking about its core ethos. I'm thinking about what it stands for, the vision. And Feely really felt for me like the community of tribe and family, that notion. And it
Yeah.
comes from a Greek background. I never was a part of a sorority or any Greek life. So it kind of has this funny way of thinking about it, because even though Fyli is Greek, the notion of tribe and family and inclusion felt really special for us. And our branding colors are black and orange. And people say, oh, that's like Halloween, like that doesn't feel feminine. Like, what is this? So there's a lot of psychology around colors.
Yeah.
And orange is the color of joy, the color of happiness. It's like a high vibration color. So for me, that felt like a really good fit for the community that we were building. And black is powerful, it's strength, it's all of the colors combined. So when we think about women's communities, we often see like pink, we see purple, we see lighter feminine colors. And our kind
Yeah.
of standpoint was we're coming in strong, we're coming in with joy, we're coming in to elevate each other. So that's really how we thought about the branding of Feely.
Well, talk about how this became so important to you. I mean, maybe this gives us a little bit of history of where you come from.
Absolutely. So Feely started off as a passion project. I worked in fashion for years, and then I left my job to start a tech company. It was a SaaS B2B software for the fashion industry. I had a few male partners, and I was completely unprepared for entrepreneurship, Teresa. I
Uh,
did not understand vesting schedules and raising capital and your burn rate. And I just did not have that background. I didn't go to business school. Not that you learn a lot of that at business school, you learn by
right.
experience.
Yeah.
And I felt just out of my sorts and wishing that I had a community of women that were also building that I can turn to for mentorship, advice, resources. And I started co-working every day at Soho House, which is my creative workspace. And
New York, right?
originally
Just
in New
so
York,
people know. Yes.
yes, in New York. And
Mhm.
originally, Feely started as just a low key club for women to come and share resources and advice. We started doing some events at Soho House in New York City at the meatpacking location. And during COVID, when the world shut down,
Yeah.
it was really hard, and in
Yeah.
New York City especially, and we just pivoted and focused on adding free resources to our community. We hosted over 120 free virtual master classes, and
Yeah.
that's really how we built Fyli online digitally without any paid marketing, without thinking about this as a business. And then eventually we launched a cohort model. So small groups of 8 to 10 women that grow and scale together for a year. And it's 12 months of unique curriculum structure, roundtable sessions, virtual workshops, in-person gatherings. And we turned it into a full-time business.
What a wonderful thing. And so it was just a year old, 2 years old?
3 years,
3 years
3 years
old. Okay.
now.
All
Yeah,
right.
three
Nice.
years now.
Awesome. So how many cohorts maybe have you launched? Is there a number?
So yeah, we've launched 4 so far. We're launching our 5th that's opening in January. And then we plan to open 3 in Q2 2023 as we continue to grow.
And are they all virtual?
So it's a hybrid,
Okay.
mostly virtual, but every quarter we have in-person gatherings that are optional for members to fly in and attend. Usually the in-person gatherings are in New York, Miami, Los Angeles, or Austin.
Yeah. And so talk a little bit about the type of person that might benefit the most from it. And then we'll go back to some lessons learned in history, because I want people to know, women to know what's available to them out there. And I think you bring up such an incredible point as, having mentored probably over 400 founders, those early first time founders, it is challenging. And there are a lot of mentoring services, but you really, to have that network around you to help you on that path is so important. And I like that you're doing that. I think it's great. It's different than an incubator or something that is, sort of moving the business along. You're moving the individual along with that business, if I really gather that correctly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, when we look at accelerators, they're just focused on growth and scale, right?
Right,
And when
right,
you think about the journey of a founder, you really need that emotional support. You
right.
need to understand how to combat the imposter syndrome that comes up as we're raising capital, how to
Absolutely.
take care of yourself mentally, physically, emotionally as you're on this really rough journey and
Yeah.
building resilience, right? Resilience is not something we're born with, it's something that we learn over time. And being open to making asks. We're teaching women how to ask for what they want and what they need. And that's so
Love
important.
that. I love that. I'm teaching the ask, and I can't tell you how many times that, when I am sitting down with people, including myself, like it's easier to get someone else to, all right, tell me what your ask is, than sometimes it is for you as an individual to figure out what your ask is. We don't, I do find that, maybe it's imposter syndrome, but maybe sometimes it's just that nurturing and, we want to help. I want to help. So we don't think about ourselves and asking for ourselves at times. So I love that. I think it's great. So all entrepreneurs, or
Yeah. So when we think about who we serve,
yeah,
Feely serves early stage female founders. So we
okay,
break that bucket up into 2 categories.
yeah,
Early stage, you have your business idea, you're already ready to rock. You might be pre-revenue, but you have a plan and a
yeah,
strategy in place. You might be raising capital, you might be bootstrapping or just be a creative consultant, like
yeah.
focusing on cash positive revenue. You are open-minded, you have a skill set or an expertise to contribute, and you're all in, you're ready to go. That's the first bucket. The second bucket is the more seasoned, experienced founder up to Series A. You're revenue generating, you've raised some capital, maybe you've done a friends and family round or a seed, you're cash positive, and you really want to be around other women that will help you accelerate your growth. So
Yeah,
have those similar peers. So those are the 2 profiles of women that we're currently serving.
that's awesome. So tell me, what, having founded this and where you are today, what has that done for you?
Yeah. It has taught me, well, 2 things. One, that I'm meant to walk this path because women really do need this help. I
Mm,
mean, it's astonishing to see these women with incredible businesses and ideas have such a hard time raising capital
yeah,
and growing their companies. Like, we have to work together and we have to work in numbers because it is mind-boggling the challenges that women face, especially women of color.
Yeah.
So it's my like fighting source mission to be
Yeah.
able to help them succeed. It's been incredible to watch our women thrive, to gain confidence, to crush their goals, and to support each other and elevate each other as they're growing. That's been beautiful. And for me personally, it's just taught me so many learning lessons about business, about finance, about the way that we operate and spend our money, about creating impact, measuring impact, data, and just marketing, how you grow and scale community and what that looks like. So many good learning lessons.
So where does this come from in your history?
So this comes from being around strong women, having a lot of fantastic mentors throughout my career, but also feeling like I didn't necessarily have a place or I didn't fit within a box or a category.
Right.
So this also came from leaving, that startup role for the tech company and researching and finding that there wasn't necessarily a place for women like me. I wasn't considered for YPO because you have to have 2 million in revenue. I
Right.
wasn't a fit for Chief, even though I love what they do, and shout out to their founders. They're focused on corporate executive women and
Right.
a different age demographic. And Female Founders Collective, great, but they didn't have the programming and the connection that I needed. So I felt like there wasn't anything for early stage founders outside of accelerators or venture studios. So I created something that I feel like we needed.
Yeah. Yeah. So where are your other passions?
Design, digital design. I do really enjoy personal branding and helping founders tell their story and create a strategy. That's my huge passion. I still enjoy fashion and style and art and
Yeah.
music, and just bringing people together.
So is there an influencer that you had in your life that you feel like you really gained so much from? And if so, what do you think those influences have been?
Oh, for sure. I mean, so many amazing women that have influenced my career. I'd love to acknowledge one in particular, Susan Rockefeller, who I've known for the past 8 years, and she sits on my formal advisory board. She has seen me through so many different paths and directions in my life, and she's been such an astonishing support and someone that I can turn to ask for advice. Resources, to get really honest feedback, to get gut and instinct checks. And I'm really grateful because I did not come from, a family of great wealth. I didn't go to an Ivy League business school. I didn't,
Right.
have those resources growing up. And I do feel that if you are authentic and you work hard, people take notice of that, and you have to go after the mentors that you want. 48% of women say that they don't feel like they'll ever make it in business because they don't have access to mentors or advisors. And this
Yeah.
is like a statistic that we're working on changing with Fyli. We do a lot of personalized mentorship matching.
Which I mean, is that separate? And I want to go back to the mentorship, but is that separate or that's part of being part of a cohort?
It's part of being a
Yeah,
cohort.
yeah. But so I guess I'm curious because all the women out there and anyone, I mean, mentorship is so big. And I know I talk to a lot of young people that feel like they they just want to have that help and that feedback and the guidance, but it's hard to find those mentors. Any advice on how, and maybe even how you did it before you actually started Fyli?
Yeah, just being fearless, finding people on LinkedIn, going after, like literally making a list of who are the people that I would love to sit and have coffee with and pick their brain. Who are the people that, I want to surround myself with. And then I'd go for it. And the
Yeah.
worst that they can say is no. But when you're asking for a mentorship relationship, this is something that I coach some of my mentees that are still in school, or, young women that I work with. You have to be prepared.
Yeah.
Show up prepared. You can't waste anyone's time. Have concrete questions in place, respect their time and energy, follow up with them, and just make sure that you're framing, this relationship in the right way.
I think that's like great advice. I think it goes back to the ask. Not that you have to know what you're asking for, but if you're asking really good questions, that mentor will help bring out what your potential ask could be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have to go with something, like you have to
Yeah.
put thought behind it before you
Right.
get on these calls with them or before you show up to a meeting. So
Yeah.
that's the main thing, is like being prepared, being solid with what your ask is and being unapologetic about it.
Well, being in New York, you have access to so many resources. I mean, what's the guidance that you might give to someone that's maybe in a secondary or tertiary market that doesn't have all that access to mentorship? I know you mentioned LinkedIn and, calls. So do you have any tips or strategies that you could share on that?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now I'm currently based in Austin, Texas. I'm not in New York City anymore. And thinking about, entrepreneurs who are in different cities, maybe not a major city in a satellite city or
Yeah.
an up and coming growing city, I do believe there are so many resources still available. So thinking about getting involved in local community organizations,
Mhm.
volunteer work, you'll find a lot of great mentors,
Yeah.
and utilizing free platforms like Instagram and LinkedIn. Reach out to people, set up virtual coffee dates. Think about the networking opportunities that you have existing within your community. And if there are not any happening, create them,
Yeah.
rally together your own small groups. And I really think it will help.
What's a challenge? I agree. I mean, I think that's great advice. Share a challenge that you've had in past, a barrier that just seemed insurmountable. And then what did you do to get through that barrier? Do you have one in mind that you could share?
Yeah, I mean, there's been so many barriers to
Mm.
what I'm doing. And I would say funding. Funding is a huge,
Yes.
huge barrier. When we first started Fyli, we, didn't think about it necessarily as a venture-backed business. And now we're going to raise our seed round. We're going to open up a larger institutional round.
Yeah.
And I think lack of access to capital has been a tough one because we're a really small and mighty team. We're doing our best to serve and create impact. Venture capitalists don't necessarily understand what we do. But I think what we have to keep in mind as entrepreneurs is you need to understand your vision, but you also have to learn how to speak the language so that funders will understand and see the value and the benefit of your company. So using my own experience, we did raise a pre-seed round in 2022 in a really tough market, which I'm super proud of.
Yep.
And what did we do to get there? Listen to feedback. Make sure your decks are, going to the hands of people that will give you really good, honest feedback, and don't take it to heart. You have to be able to take that feedback, to work it in, to keep
Yeah.
going, to keep yourself motivated. It takes 100 no's to get one yes when you're
Yes.
raising capital as a woman. So it's just like building your thick skin, building that resiliency, and not taking it to heart, but taking in that feedback to keep going.
And that hasn't changed in so many years. And I got funded many, many years ago, and it was almost like having to choke the person is like, just give me the money.
Yeah.
And you do. They're looking for strength, they're looking for confidence. But I think your advice is spot on. And your ability to take in there will always be advice. There'll always be more things than you could ever do that you're going to get, input on. How did you manage that and maintain your somewhat sanity and also priorities as to making sure you didn't shift your vision? Because a lot of times that feedback can sometimes be take you off focus.
It's so true. And having your core group of people, like
Yeah.
your solid advisors, your solid friends, like your mission statement that you look at, knowing in your heart that that is why you are continuing to do this, that is why you're building. I do
Mhm.
think it helps to have people around you that you can turn to, even on the tough days. I call it my life board. I have my board for work, my formal advisory board. We have a
Yeah.
global leadership board, but I also have something called a life board.
Okay.
And those are really close friends of mine who
I
are
like
also
that.
founders that
Yeah.
are building. And we call each other on the good days, the bad days, the days where we're crying and we're like, they said no, I want to give up. And we motivate each other to keep going. And I think having people around you that you can make those phone calls and kind of let your walls down and be authentic and get that feedback and support is really helpful as you're going on this journey.
Yeah.
And I also think, I wish someone told me this sooner, but for every other founder who's raising capital, you have to set time frames. You
Mm.
cannot always be raising.
Yeah.
Raising capital is a full-time job in itself. So you have to give yourself, I'm opening the round on this date and I'm closing it on this date, no matter what. You have to set those time frames because it helps with your speed, your agility, and also your sanity and your priorities.
And are you finding that the fundraising, there's a more diverse, I guess, audience for, actually pitching to? Is it still fairly traditional? Are you going after traditional venture funds? And we know what that looks like in many cases still. Or are you seeing a lot more diversity in the funding?
So we're finally starting to see some more diversity in the funding. There are a lot of fantastic funds that are focused on women, especially women of color.
Mhm.
The funds are not as large as some of the big institutional funds that you would normally go to, but we do have a lot more resources. We do have some grants. We have amazing organizations like I Fund Women who
Yeah.
have been coming up, every month, every quarter with different grants to help women.
Yeah.
So we're sharing more of those resources and we're helping founders get ready.
Yeah.
But it's still a challenge, but we're helping women be better prepared for that challenge, meaning having a really great solid deck, making sure their financials are on point, giving them pitch practices, going through rounds of feedback so that they feel ready to go.
And you didn't start looking for money until 2022, or were you?
Correct.
Yeah.
We bootstrapped for quite some time. We were always a cash positive
Admirable.
business.
Yeah.
A small business, but cash positive. And now we're really looking to build our technology to
Mhm.
grow our infrastructure. And we can compare ourselves. If you look at Chief, they've done incredible work for corporate executive women. They're valued at $2 billion. They took institutional capital over like 150 million.
Yeah.
We are looking to do that for early stage female founders. So we are a different age demographic. We
Yeah.
are a different business entirely.
Yeah.
But if we look at them as a model because they've been able to do it and we want to do it for early stage founders.
Well, so where do you see it going in 2023? I mean, where is the scale? Where do you feel like that growth is going to come from, and how much of it might be focused on local regions versus anywhere?
Yeah, so we already have global applications in for our Q1 and Q2 cohorts, women from Europe, women from China, women from Africa. So we are expanding our cohorts, and the goal is to open 10 in 2023, 10 cohorts running.
Okay.
We're also focused on our corporate fellowship program. In 2022, we did a salon series tour with UBS called Own Your Worth. And now we're scaling back from events to really focus on building out the cohorts and also funding female founders who can't afford the membership fee for Fyli, having it covered by a corporate sponsor. So that's what we're focused most on.
So was corporate sponsorship an early, I guess, opportunity that you had and you were able to take?
That was a year 2 opportunity. So
Okay.
yes, I would say yes. And we're super grateful for our partners who've been supporting Fyli over the past year. And now we're looking to amplify our partnerships for 2023.
And looking in that crystal ball a little bit with all the uncertainty kind of going into 2023, what do you see, I guess, in terms of, again, tips or strategies that people can use to try to let down some of that uncertainty and just focus on what they do best right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So the one thing that I can say amidst, this bear market that we're in and inflation and how tough things are, the one thing I can say is entrepreneurship is on the rise,
Yeah.
especially female entrepreneurship. We're seeing numbers spike. People are starting new businesses, and out of any recession or down economy
That's
does come
difficult.
innovation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I do have to say that I have faith that, 2023 will bring a lot of new opportunities, a lot of funding opportunities because new budgets open, whether that be corporate sponsorship or funds allocating dollars for founders.
Yeah.
And I do believe that you have to keep leaning into your purpose,
Yeah.
whatever that takes. So new year, new opportunities.
So and what do you do to take care of yourself?
That's a great question. I have a pretty solid morning routine that I have been doing for years, which consists of exercise, meditation, and journaling every single day.
Yeah.
And it helps me stay grounded. It helps me like refill my cup before I start pouring into everyone else's.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do sometimes, when you're traveling or you have deadlines where you have to start your day earlier or international calls. But I know that when I take care of myself and I can show up as my best self.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then all of the having yourself surrounded by so many founders and probably very creative and innovative ideas. I guess what do you see that drives them to want to do what they're doing, especially in this tough market? I mean, are you seeing any sort of trends in the founders and the ideas that they're coming to the table with?
Yeah, I am. I'm seeing a lot of founders come up with healthcare
Mhm.
solutions.
I was going to ask about
I'm,
mental
I'm
health.
seeing I'm seeing a huge spike in founders in healthcare. I'm
Yeah.
seeing a lot of women focus on virtual or e-learning businesses. We're
Hmm.
seeing a lot of women creating impact-driven businesses. I
Yeah.
think that's a huge one too. So whether that be CPG or
Yeah.
some type of consulting, there's an impact and give back component.
Yeah. Awesome. Man, that's I think what you would hope to see in a time like this, and as we go into 2023, where an economy and war and all these different things are just coming at us from every angle. So, in your path into 2023, you know, tell me what your vision is for the for Feely, not just 2023, but where do you hope it'll go in kind of that 5-year plan? You have a dream that you're hoping to reach for?
I do. I do. I would love to see Feely operating, hundreds of cohorts within the United States, within
Yeah.
Europe, within UAE. I'd love to see us create a really beautiful, robust online structure that can be given to women who need it most, who can't afford paying for membership. I'd see future products and merchandise for Feely.
Okay.
That is
Yeah.
my background.
Yeah.
I see a media arm and component of what we're doing. So many big dreams and goals ahead. Absolutely. I would say my biggest would be 10 cohorts for 2023.
That's a good one. And the team that you have around me, talk a little bit about what it took to put the team around you and how important that team is to what you're doing.
Yeah, our team is crucial. Team is everything because if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, you got to have the right people around you. And we have an amazing COO and head of house, Catherine Seipert. I've known her for over 10 years. We've been friends for a very long time. She's
Yeah.
incredible. Our digital media manager and our community manager both started as interns 2.5 years ago and have stayed with us.
Okay.
So it's beautiful to see them rise into their positions and build this company together. And we have an army of consultants who are just absolutely fantastic that we work with on quarterly basis to help in terms of marketing and PR and growth and revenue projections. So I'm lucky that we have such a fantastic team.
And well, how do you source your mentors? Because you also have I think, a fairly large mentor network, correct?
We do. So we source our mentors. Really, it's been word of mouth. It's been
Yeah.
attending different events, people recommending amazing leaders to us,
Sure.
and then building personal relationships. Our global leadership board also serves as mentors to our community. And I have a personal relationship with every single one of them. And I think that's important too. As you're building, you have to think about, mutually beneficial relationships and how you keep supporting one another.
Well, and you talked a little bit about the characteristics that make up maybe a good individual to contribute in a cohort. Talk about those characteristics as they relate to entrepreneurship and founder mentality, if you will. What do you feel like it's going to take?
Yeah,
What do you drive to individuals when you're talking to them?
absolutely. So it takes so much. I hate to say use the word sacrifice, but it takes a really resilient
Yeah,
person. It takes consistency. You have to be willing to roll up your sleeves and do the work. You have to be willing to, take pay cuts at certain moments as you're growing and scaling. You have to be willing to be flexible, right? You're going to change ideas sometimes as you're looking for product market fit. You have to be willing to take feedback and implement that in
yeah,
your business. You have to be willing to fail. We say fail fast,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So you have to be willing to take those failures and reframe them into, success or into learning lessons of what comes next in your business.
Do you have a
And you have to be
process that you use
open-minded.
do you have a process that you use for, I mean, any kind of formality on taking those failures and how you might process them? Which,
Yes,
yeah,
we
talk,
do. We do.
yeah,
And we call fail forward.
yeah,
So actually it's part of our curriculum structure. It's a
oh,
process of
good.
thinking about those failures earlier on, reflecting on them, conversating about them with your
Yeah,
cohort, and being able to look at them from different perspectives, right? So taking
right.
an outside view and an inside view of what those lessons are and how you're going to implement them as you're moving forward.
Well, and so the 10 cohorts, let's say you have 10 new cohorts, who leads the cohort? How do you frame that so individuals that are interested understand what that opportunity might look like?
Absolutely. So we call them pathfinders.
Okay.
So these pathfinders are helping women along their journey
Okay.
through Fyli. Pathfinders serve as like group facilitators, and they are the ones that are checking in weekly, sharing resources, ideas, support every month, leading our roundtable sessions every day, like reaching out, email, what do you need, making sure calendars are scheduled and synced the right way, and they're guiding them through the journey. So
Yeah.
that would be our pathfinders.
Well, that's awesome. So are there things that I haven't asked you that you want to share that you think would be helpful?
Well, I'd love to just talk a little bit about our curriculum structure for
Sure.
Feeling.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it is unique. It is personal and professional growth. So we're talking everything from building your core values to neuro-linguistic pathways and how we reframe them,
Yeah.
to building an advisory board, perfecting your pitch, building an 18-month milestone marker plan, accountability sessions every other month, so accountability pairing,
Yeah.
and really thinking about how you grow and scale your business. So marketing master classes, building P&L sheets, owning your worth, the art of the ask, building confidence and resiliency, and leadership skills.
Well,
So
I love
everything that you
owning your worth. I am particularly in love with that one because I think that's so, you can't do all the others if you don't own your worth.
exactly,
Not as successfully. Yeah.
exactly. So
So
our
a little bit of that, let's battle the imposter syndrome, if you will. And I wanted to talk just briefly about how you didn't necessarily have the experience, or maybe you did, but you didn't let that stop you. Maybe you could, what inspiration do you give, especially young women that, or young men that want to start something, but I don't have the experience with that, but I really think this is a great idea and I want to do something like that.
So it's something that you build over time. You just have to go for it, because the worst that can happen is it doesn't work,
Right,
and then
right.
you pivot and then you try something else. You
Yeah.
have to just keep going and being resilient. I was lucky enough to have, some experience in this path when I did work for a fashion brand as a creative director. We started a 501(c)(3) nonprofit that empowered women through
Mhm.
education and resources and training. So I had a little taste of this earlier on in my career, and
Sure.
it's something that I really felt passionate about. So I would say you just have to build the support around you and go for it, because
Yeah.
then you're going to spend your whole life wondering, what if I tried? what if.
Yeah, I totally agree. And did I didn't want to interrupt you. Did you get all your curriculum
Yes, I
things
did.
out?
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
Is there anything else that we haven't talked about that you want to share?
Well, I would say if you are an early stage female founder and you're interested in learning more about Fyli, I encourage you to go to our website, fylitribe.com, and click on apply. That will automatically link you to an interview with our team. We are now interviewing for Q2 cohorts that are launching in April. So would encourage anyone to apply.
And to all of you listening, we will have all that information in the bio and the content that we post along with this. But Jack, it's a pleasure talking to you. I do love, it's one of the reasons I reached out to you. And I think I mentioned that I talk to so many, especially young women, because that's also where my heart is. I have a daughter, and, really helping them think through and not giving up on necessarily the world of opportunity, because things are messy right now, and they do get messy. And so, I mean, building a network around you helps, I believe, keep that motivation up. And your cheerleading squad, it's your cheerleading squad, which everybody needs one.
Absolutely. Everybody needs a squad. Everybody needs someone behind them supporting
Right.
them.
Right. So thank you for spending time with us. We'll make sure everybody has the links. And I just appreciate your time so much today.
Thank you so much, Teresa. I appreciate you too.
You're welcome. And I'll stop our video.